friends. Today we're going to look at composition review. Your I can statement is, I can illustrate a unique example of each compositional technique. What is a composition, you say? A composition is the placement or the arrangement of your ideas on a piece of paper. You will be working on 6 individual pieces of paper. Printer paper will be fine. Your drawing needs to be able to communicate your idea as well as develop your ability to see relationships within the whole picture. Notice that several of these techniques appear multiple times within the artwork. The first compositional technique we're going to look at is draw big. Change the way you look at things. Look at the shoes and you'll notice that it's from a worm's eye view. It's not from above like we normally would see it. They're changing it. It's a huge drawing. We can't tell if it's a boy or a girl. That's what we're looking for. This artist, Georgia O'Keeffe, paints large. This is going to end up being a picture of a flower. But again, she's zooming in. She's painting big. Next, this is Keith Haring. He was a pop artist, and he painted the entire room. Chuck Close did a self-portrait of himself. It's the size of a wall. It's absolutely stunning, and it's big, and you don't see all the parts and pieces of his face. He chopped off the top of his head. This shovel is a piece of sculpture done by Klaus Ohlenberg. It happens to be here in Michigan in Grand Rapids at the Frederick Meyer Sculpture Garden. It's a great place to go visit if you have time. This shovel is bigger than your house. It's huge. Again, it's a piece of sculpture. It's a piece of artwork that they did big. Big is important. The second technique we're going to look at today is fill the paper. Let your idea touch all sides of the paper, and you can see that it's kind of a landscape that they've drawn there. You can see how the sun goes off and the house goes off and even the hills kind of go off. We're going to look at the artist Vincent van Gogh. These are his irises, and you'll see how he has filled that space nicely. You can see the flowers up front are a little bit larger, and as they go back, they get smaller. You can see how the flowers are overlapping. They're not afraid to touch each other, and they don't look staged. Imagine when you draw your flowers side by side, they just don't look realistic. This is a painting by George Seurat. And you'll notice that he filled the entire canvas with his painting. There's something everywhere. There's not a lot of negative space. The third technique is overlapping shapes. It's a great way to show depth within your art. As an artist, it's a trick you want to do. You want to fool people's eye. You want them to believe they could reach right in and grab these flowers, for example. This is Kandinsky's work, and you can clearly see that he has taken his shapes and overlapped them. He's also filled his page nicely, but he didn't let his lines go off the paper. So there's an example of using 2 of the techniques. The fourth one is my favorite, lines off the paper. Don't let the edge of your paper stop your idea. This applies to everything, drawing, painting, photography, ceramics. When you look at this is a photograph, and you can see how the photographer let the bottle go off the frame of the photo. That's really important to be able to do. This pop art piece that says pop on it, if those explosions in the back, those triangles in the back, if they didn't continue off the page, we wouldn't feel the large pop that the artist Roy Lichtenstein wants us to feel. The fifth technique is the area within the artwork: foreground, middle ground, and background. Artists use this all the time. And we know, because we've studied this a lot, that what's in the foreground is very clear. The middle ground, there's some clarity, and then the background, it's completely gone. The detail is no longer there, but we can see it. A lot of times it's just a silhouette. Landscapes are a great way to illustrate this. In this painting, you see the gentleman in the upper left-hand corner, and you notice that there's a building down the road. You don't think to yourself that that's a building for small children or for little mice. You know that that's a building that man could live in, even though it's teeny, because our brain knows. Our brain is so good at decoding these things that we can see that. When we look at Degas's ballerinas, we see that they get smaller as they move back in space. It's not because they're littler kids, it's because they're moving back on the perspective plane. I want you to note that violinist sitting in the front, he's gone off the page. Remember, don't let the edge of the canvas stop your idea. The last technique is perspective. Objects that are further away appear smaller and less detailed. And it's the opposite. Objects that are closer are going to be larger and full of detail. In this painting, you can clearly see that there are people in the foreground, middle ground, background. You can see how the people as they move back in space get smaller. You can also see that they look like silhouettes towards the back of the painting. Here's another nice example. You'll note how the hay bales move back in space just like the people did. They get smaller. I want you to notice how when things move back in space, they're moving up on the page. It's not that they're rolling up a hill, but they're moving up on the page. This assignment will last for about 3.5 art classes. You're going to take your printer paper, if you can find it. If not, use the line paper, but I prefer the printer paper. Label each one of the pages with the technique that you're going to demonstrate and create a rectangle on there, which represents the page. You're going to do this for each one of the techniques, so you will end up with 6 pieces of paper. Think about the pressure of your pencil. Remember, if you're pushing too hard, it's going to be too hard to erase. Once you have finished all 6 of your drawings of each technique, remember some of the techniques will overlap. I'd like you to outline it in black permanent marker. Once you have finished all of that, then you go back and you erase all of the excess pencil lines. Next, we're going to add color. You can use colored pencils, crayon, or markers. Photograph your finished product and upload it to Seesaw. I can't wait to see what you guys come up with. I'd like to show you some photographs from this weekend. I went to Frederick Meyer Sculpture Garden. Here I am in front of Da Vinci's horse. There's flowers everywhere. Mums are in season right now, so they've got a lot of mum displays. Here's my kids at the Da Vinci horse. It's huge. They've got beautiful man-made waterfalls. Lots of fish in these little ponds, these koi fish in the ponds. Here I am standing in front of the Keith Haring sculpture with my Keith Haring sweatshirt on. Here's the shovel that I told you guys about, and you can see really how big it is here. Here's my daughter pretending to hold it, and it's just a lot of fun. Hopefully one day you and your family will be able to make a trip to see the Frederick Meyer Sculpture Garden.